right now, I'm going to tell you 7 words that share one intriguing similarity in the way they sound. Listen to them now. Plenty, plural, plus, surplus, complete, polyclinic, triple. The similarity in sound is that they all have PL or pl in them somewhere. Keep listening to this episode to find out what this pl means, where it came from, and nearly a dozen more words where you can find it, all also with that same meaning. Hello everyone, and thank you for listening to Master English with Tim, the podcast where every Monday you can learn English pronunciation, vocabulary, word histories, and grammar in depth and detail, and without ever hurrying, so you can bring your English from intermediate to advanced. So let's come back to our words with pl or PL. What does this combination of sounds mean, and where does it come from? Well, let's start with the meaning. Pl or PL has 2 meanings that are pretty obviously similar to each other. One is about being full, that is, not empty, and the other one is about having a large number or amount, so being full and having a large number of something. So this will become really clear as you listen to the nearly 20 words and word parts that I will clarify in this week's episode. So where does the pl combination with the meaning of full or numerous come from? If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, I think you can guess where they came from. Words with the root pl with this meaning come from a language called Proto-Indo-European, which was first spoken around 7,000 years ago in what is now southern Ukraine. Speakers of Proto-Indo-European moved from Ukraine west into Europe, east to what is now western China, and south into India, and then Persia or Iran. As hundreds and then thousands of years passed, Proto-Indo-European broke or developed into different languages like Greek, Latin, Proto-Slavic, Persian, and Sanskrit. And from those languages developed more languages like French and Spanish from Latin, Ukrainian and Belarusian from Proto-Slavic, English and German from Germanic, and so on. We can find traces of the ancient Proto-Indo-European vocabulary in modern languages that are spoken around the world today, and the pl root is just one example of such words and word parts. This explains why you can find the pl root in the French word plein, the Russian word polny, the Polish word, pełny, and the German word voll, where the p sound changed into a f sound. All of these words mean full. Now, Proto-Indo-European was spoken a long, long time ago, and so the roots have had a lot of time to change into slightly different forms. This explains why we can find 2 forms of this pl root. The first one is, of course, the classic pl form that we opened the episode with, and the other is fl or fl. Now, you might think that pl and fl sound pretty different from each other, but we have examples from several different languages where a f sound changes into a p sound. For example, the German word for ship is Schiff, and the Russian word for flame is plamya, so a change from p to f is actually pretty common. Now let's start with words that include the fl version of the root. They all are variations on the word full. Let me give them to you all at the same time. Full, fill, refill with the stress on the second part of the word, refill with the stress on the first part of the word, and then underfill and overfill. Let's do a couple of examples for each of these words. When something fills, it becomes full. So, for example, when it rains, the lakes and rivers fill with water. And when you fill something, you make it full. So after you've driven a few hundred kilometers in your car, you will need to fill your car's gas tank. A lot of people like to overfill the gas tanks in their cars. They put in a little bit too much gas, I guess so they can drive a few extra kilometers before they need to get more gas. Someone told me that overfilling your gas tank is bad for your car, so I stopped doing it myself. Now, if you refill something, you make it full again. In a lot of fast food restaurants, you are allowed to refill your drink without paying. I think a lot of people agree that that's actually a bad idea. Refilling your cup for free with a sugary drink many times and then drinking all of it is pretty bad for your health. You can also use refill as a noun with the stress on the first part of the word. So if you're sitting in a cafe and have drunk all of your coffee, you could ask the waiter for a refill. You could say, "Could I have a refill, please?" Now, in most cafes, I think you need to pay for a refill, though. If the waiter is in a hurry, they might not pay close attention and they might underfill your cup. If they underfill your cup, that means they fill it maybe only halfway. Most people, I think, will be a bit unhappy if their waiter underfills their cups. Okay, now let's move on to some more words. These ones also all have meanings that are connected with being full, but have the pl version of the root. They also all are from Latin and sound more advanced and intelligent than all those words like full and overfill and so on, which sound pretty basic. We have 5 words: replete, replenish, deplete, expletive, and complete. Let us start with replete. That's R-E-P-L-E-T-E. Replete. When you say that something is replete with something, that just means it's full of it. I recently started actively learning Polish, and I've made good progress so far. But I am sure that if I wrote a text now, with my still rather basic level, the text would be replete with mistakes, or full of mistakes. Or, different situation. If you eat a giant salad with 5 different kinds of leaves, 10 kinds of vegetables, 3 kinds of nuts, some berries, and also olive oil and garlic, you can say that the salad is replete with vitamins and minerals. Now let's talk about replenish. That's R-E-P-L-E-N-I-S-H. If you replenish something, that just means you refill it. If you spent all your money on vacation, you probably will feel better when you replenish your bank account. Or if you have exercised in the gym for many hours, you will need to replenish your body with calories, and particularly with protein. Or if you've run in the heat outside, then you should probably replenish your body with water. The opposite of replenish is deplete. That's D-E-P-L-E-T-E. In Latin, the prefix D or de is used to talk about the reversal or negation of an action. So if the root pl or pla is connected with being full or making full, then deplete means that you use all or almost all of a resource. You take it away. So if you use your phone for a couple of days without charging the battery, then you can say that the battery is depleted. It's empty. Or if you spend all of your money, then your bank account will be depleted. Or if you work out in the gym, your muscles will be depleted. Okay, now let's talk about our next word. It is expletive. That's E-X-P-L-E-T-I-V-E. Expletive. An expletive is a bad word, one that you should not say if you want to be respected by polite people. In English, most expletives have 4 letters. I guess the 2 most famous expletives in English start with an F in one case and an S in the other, and both of these expletives classically have 4 letters. So what's the connection between impolite words and the pl root? Well, the Latin prefix ex means out. So the idea of the word expletive is that you are full of a negative emotion, especially anger, and in order to make the negative emotion come out of you so that you feel better, you make the emotion come out by saying a bad word, or a lot of bad words. And I think that in practice, that saying expletives actually doesn't make you less angry. But there it is anyway, still the word expletive. Okay, our last word in this group is one you have already heard and seen many times. It is complete. I think you can see the connection between being full and being done, or complete. So I think for now, our discussion of words with the pl root that talk about fullness, I think this discussion is complete and we can move on. Now let's move on to more words that have the pl root. But these will have a slightly different meaning of the root. In these words, pl means many, which I think you can see is not so different from the idea of being full. We have 6 words in this group: plenty, plural, plus, surplus, supply, and plethora. Let's look at each of these words, starting with plenty. If you have plenty of something, you have a lot of it. When you are young, you have plenty of time. If you're rich, you have plenty of money. If you're busy, you have plenty of work to do. Also, doctors say you should drink plenty of water every day and get plenty of sleep. Our next word is plural, P-L-U-R-A-L. Plural is a word you have almost certainly heard and read while studying English grammar. If a word is plural, it refers to several people, several places, or several things. For example, the noun child is singular. It is not plural. But the noun children is plural. It talks about 2 or more kids. Next is a word from mathematics, plus, P-L-U-S, plus. So, 2 plus 2 is 4, 5 plus 3 is 8, and so on. I think you can see how plus is connected with the idea of the pl root, which is connected with many or more of something. Okay, now we're ready for surplus. That's S-U-R-P-L-U-S. In Latin, the prefix sur meant on top of. So a surplus is something we have that is extra, something more than what we need or more than what we expect. Now, this doesn't happen very much anymore, but we used to sometimes hear that a government had a budget surplus. It spent less money than it expected and collected more money in taxes than it expected. So they were left with extra money, a surplus. I guess nowadays, the only countries that have budget surpluses are ones like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Those countries have budget surpluses because they have surpluses of oil that they can sell. Supply is another common word with the pl root. We spell it S-U-P-P-L-Y. Supply. If you supply someone with something, you give them enough of something or even a lot of something. So probably your boss supplies you with plenty of work. Or if you're the boss, then you supply your workers with plenty of work. Supply can also be a noun. It means something you have access to that you can actually use. So if you work and have a good job, you have a supply of money. If you own a farm, you have a supply of food. If you have the internet, you have a supply of information, although I think most people will agree that the information that is supplied to us has a lot of garbage in it. Now finally, we have the word plethora, that is spelled P-L-E-T-H-O-R-A, plethora. Plethora is a very advanced sounding word. It's the kind of word that sounds smart even to native speakers of English. A plethora is just a very large number or amount of something, usually something that is abstract. So you don't say that you have a plethora of cars or bananas or whatever, but if you're creative, you have a plethora of ideas. This podcast supplies you with a plethora of examples. When you visit a hypermarket or Amazon, you have a plethora of options to choose from. Now, so far, we've talked about words that include the fl or pl root. But we also have a couple of parts of words with the pl root. We have 2 of them. One is the prefix poly, which is spelled P-O-L-Y. And poly just means a lot of something. So a polyglot is a person who speaks a lot of languages. A polyclinic is a large medical clinic that has lots of small clinics inside of it. For example, a dental clinic, a skin health clinic, a mental health clinic, and so on. And a polytheist is a person who believes not in one god, but instead in many gods. And finally, we have a suffix with the pl root. You can find the suffix ple at the ends of words. If a woman gives birth to 2 babies at the same time, then those babies are twins. If she gives birth to 3 babies at the same time, those babies are triplets, you can hear the pl sound near the end of the word. And if something triples, you can hear the pl at the end, it becomes 3 times larger. If something quadruples, it becomes 4 times as big. If something pentuples, it becomes 5 times as big. Okay, I hope that you learned plenty of words, a plethora of words in this lesson. I hope your understanding is complete, and I will supply you with more next Monday. Thank you so much for listening.